Okay, do you have a question in the back? No, Crispo worked at the orphanage until that time when he started backsliding, and by that time we had actually closed down that position because we were mainly helping the refugee kids coming back in from Tanzania and Malawi, and then we started a new place somewhere else, and I found another interpreter. Any other questions before we go on? Yes? We do build homes. Okay, what made me choose to help orphans is what she asked. I did not choose. The Lord gave me the vision and said, this is what you do. He taught me specifically, you will go into northern Mozambique, you will build orphanages the African way with local material, keeping the children in their culture and make it as self-sufficient as possible. That was the 4 orders, my marching orders that I was given. Just as God gave Joshua his marching orders, he gave me mine also. And so that's what we've been doing ever since. We rescue and evangelize orphans and widows according to James 1:27. It says that you'll take care of orphans and widows in their distress. And keep yourself from being polluted by the world. That's the part everybody always forgets. Keep yourself from being polluted by the world, because this world does want to pollute you, every one of you. Other questions? No other questions? Okay. Are there any vacancies? Yes. We're doing this with just a 3-member team. All this that you saw this morning that we accomplished, we do with a team of Mozambicans and 3 missionaries. One of our missionaries is 76 years old, and she's out there just to make sure that one of the 2 of us is not alone. I almost died over Christmas of this last year, 2012, because I picked up a bad case of malaria and mixed with dysentery. Now, if you mix those 2 deadly diseases together, you are history, normally, without good medical care. Well, we have no medical care. We have to fly 1,000 miles to get to a decent hospital as you know it. So some missionaries, visitors were there, and they knew a little bit of how to help me, but I actually lost consciousness for 24 hours. I didn't know what was going on. And usually that signs your death certificate because you can't drink and keep yourself from dehydrating. I had a high fever. Well, I don't know how it happened, but anyway, I came out of it and was able to through medicine that stopped my vomiting, be able to start holding down fluids. And it took me 7 days to recover, and in that time, those people left. And I was out there 12 days alone. That is a very, very dangerous thing to do. And Linda, when we called her, she had just had cataract surgery and just been released from a doctor, and she wasn't going to come back. But when we told her what the situation was, she got on the plane and headed straight back over here and was here less than 10 days after the phone call. But that's what you call instant in season. Pack your bag, jump on a plane, and get back over there. So we do have our challenges. I've been evac 3 times. I've almost been killed 20 times. Like I said, some of it from malaria, but mostly it was from the snakes. I've had mambas under my bed, and I'm going to tell you this one other story. I lived in a mud hut. It had a dirt floor, but I had a screen door on the front. Unknown to me, those daggum snakes can open the screen door. So make sure you have a latch on your screen door if you have one, and you have a. But the other thing they can do is they'll work their way under the door. If it's dirt floor, they can get under there, and they'll do this until they can get in. I actually watched a snake do this one night. It wasn't a mamba, but there was a YWAM team with him. We 4 of us just stood there watching the snake open the door, and I was like, wow, this is really something. And so then we got a hold of him and killed him. People have compared me to the Steve Irwin, who is now deceased. But I kept telling people, I said, I am not like Steve Irwin. We have one major difference. He plays with the snakes, I kill them. And so the one that went after me 6 weeks ago was an 8-foot mamba. I stepped out my door. Well, let me tell you the whole story. Let's back up. The team, because I didn't tell this one this morning, did I? No. The team was eating. There was 4 of us. We were eating on my screened-in porch. The crows outside were up above us, up above the tin roof. They could not see what was going on underneath my carport or underneath the veranda. And they were making all this racket. Caw, caw, and they were just so much racket that we couldn't even talk to each other at the table. So I got mad, and I stood up, and I said, I'm going to go take care of the crows. The moment I stood up, those crows went dead silent. Just like that. And so it caught my attention, and I went over to the screened window, and I was looking up at these crows going, what is going on with these crows? And they're just sitting there, doing nothing. And I thought, now this is not normal. I looked all around the ground. There was no animal, no snake, no nothing. And so I said, they're going to start making a racket in just a minute. I'm going to go get rid of them. So the team continued to eat, and I walked on around and over to my back door. I opened the door, I took a step out with my right foot, and I turned. And there was this 8-foot mamba looking at me. He was sitting in front of my Toyota King Cab. It was an old car, about 12 years old. And he started to raise up, but the reason I know he was 8 foot, he had 3 loops on the ground. They were over 2 feet each loop. And then he had the 4th loop that was coming up to stand and look at me. And this guy, when he told you in the film that those eyes look like the eyes of Satan, he's not joking. They send shivers through anybody who sees them. So the snake is starting to stand, which I knew he was about to strike, so I immediately did my bunny hop and jumped right back in the door. I slammed the door and I started yelling for the guard. Cobra, 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 because that's in Portuguese, that means snake, snake, snake. And they would come running with their bamboo poles. We don't have any guns, so they can only kill them with the bamboo pole. They use a 12-foot bamboo rod. And so the guard comes, and he's looking all under the cars, under the carport, and he says, but there's no snake. Where is he? I said, I don't know, because I lost sight of him when I jumped back in the house. That snake didn't get to be 8 foot long because he was stupid. He got to be 8 foot long because he was very, very sharp. He took off the moment I slammed that door. We followed his tracks, but you know where his tracks ended? Right next to the front tire of my car. So he had gone up inside the car. There was no doubt in anybody's mind because it just like he disappeared in thin air. So Eric finally got brave enough. He said, go get your keys. I went and got the keys. I gave them to Eric. I said, I'm not going out there. So I gave them to Eric, and he goes out there, and he starts banging around the car with his snake stick, making sure that the snake wasn't going to just jump out from the wheel well or something like that. And he opens the door of the car. He checks the inside of the car because in these older cars, the vent system is open, and a rat can get inside that car, so we know if a rat can get in there, a snake can too. So we wanted to make sure the snake wasn't inside the car. It wasn't. So he gets in the car, he fires up the engine, and he backs it out into the open area that's just all dirt. And so then he jumps out of the car, and we just let that car run. It's in 100-degree heat, and we're just letting that engine run to see if it'll get hot enough that the snake will come out. Well, after 20 minutes, nothing happened. No snake, no sign of movement, no nothing. To this day, we don't know where that snake is. We assume that he came out he got into the framework of the car and he came out sometime that night, but we don't know for sure. So everybody says, well, what did you do with the car? I said, I sold it. Accessories as is. No, but truly, that was an old car. We already had it up for sale, so I didn't sell it just because of the snake, but 3 weeks later, the new owner came and picked it up. But we're most certain that the snake was long gone by then. But what's scary is that all the other mambas that have attacked me, I've been able to kill, except that one. And of course, he happens to be the biggest one around.